Welcome to Manhwa Recaps, spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. Huge shout out and special thanks to the channel members. The series starts by introducing us to the continent of Arcadia, which ended up being known as the Brilliant Empire. Its neighbor is the continent of Truvenia, where many races live together. The monsters known as orcs ended up uniting, prospering greatly, and began to engulf the continent. Humans began to get oppressed by them, after a desperate race war. That's racist. They barely succeeded in cutting them off. Crosses was the war hero at the time. He led them to victory by training countless knights using his own mana training method. But once the war ended, the existing noble society and priests grew jealous of his power. Then made the foolish decision to exile him to Arcadia. Unaware of what was to come, not long after that a second war broke out caused by the dragons. And the human forces were greatly weakened, primarily because Crossan had already left with his numerous follower knights. They once again fell near extinction. In the end, the cornered humans of Truvenia employed a life-risking sorcery to summon a strong individual to replace the exiled hero from another dimension altogether. Although the process was arduous, and even more desperate than before. The new hero was called a demigod, had slayed the red dragon who started the war. Finally achieving victory, however, the foolishness of humanity once again repeated itself. Back to Truvenia, in a remote forest of eastern Arnia. There's a dead knight, whose corpse is already being scavenged. The rest are still fighting for their lives, working together to clear their paths. But since they are using some type of sword aura, we can tell they aren't ordinary knights. One of them men yell, saying the summoning magic was cut off near this area. We learn they are a part of the Penslut Royal Guard, and they are looking for their princess. The man's name is Kuzlan, as another yells telling him to look at this. He looks anxious, when he gets over what he and the rest see as the wreckage we saw earlier, all of the knights dead, the carriage destroyed. Kuzlan asks what happened here. The man tells him that there's no direct trace of the princess, but the area is imbued with magic. Kuzlan asks if this isn't just the trace of a battle, saying maybe it was another noble's wagon. The man tells him to think logically. This level of dark magic is impossible in Truvenia or any other remote area. Though some effort was made to hide it, the origin is Arcadian. Kuzlan is surprised. The man says what's weirder is that there are no traces of an actual battle. It's nothing more than just sheer strength and hunting. As we see an ogre carrying the princess away. Kuzlan asks what would have gone hunting here. The man says that the princess's kidnapping was a rebellion committed by the illegitimate son of Duke Nereus, who is despairing over his own situation. Kuzlan asks if that means they conspired with the enemy nation Murus. He says even with them joining in, who could commit a hunt to this degree? The man says he hates to be the one to say this, but he can take a good guess. Based on the traces, they must have intruded into his domain. We see the princess still alive, but bloodied up, as she looks up. The man continues, saying besides the dragon race, it's one of the most dreadful monsters in all of Truvenia. Of course we already know that he is talking about the ogre. This monster is notorious for never leaving his prey alive. Kuzlan begins to grow panicked. The man tells him that if the magic's been cut like this, there's nothing they can do. Kuzlan starts to wonder if there's no hope, feeling overcome with frustration. He wonders what if his prey is never left alive, then why is there no sign of him having killed the princess here like the rest? And he starts to hope that maybe she is still alive. I think we all know what's going to happen here. It jumps elsewhere, sometime later, to a group traveling through a forest. They are the Perun company, en route somewhere. The guide tells them the sun will be setting soon, and he sucks ass at his job for getting them lost. One of the mercenaries looks on edge, as he stares down the path. He tells Perun to be honest with him, asking if this is his first time. He says if it were him, and the road would be like this, he'd have never signed the contract, or he'd have hired a lot more guards. Perun nervously plays it off, saying there's no way he can possibly think it's his first time. He starts speaking in legit riddles for some reasons, but says that the area looks different after the last time he was here 5 years ago. But the merc doesn't seem pleased. One of his buddies call out to him saying if the merchants aren't lying, then that means there's some other factor altering the terrain. The merc, whose name is Bexter, tells the other guy named Tillich to get ready. He unsheathes his blade, charging and stabbing a monster in the stomach. Bexter says for there to be a gnoll in orc armor, they've fallen for a trap. They yell, telling the rest to stay grouped, as if they are caught straggling they will be eaten instantly. Bexter and his boys look onward, and Tillich asks how many they think are in there. Bexter says he doesn't want to know. They begin to charge in first. The gnolls make the first move. Bexter tells them to be careful, as they engage in an all-out brawl. We see the mercs are actually clapping some straight cheeks right now. Baxter is cutting through them like they are made of Play-Doh. Tillich starts to go crazy. After pinning one to the floor, it claws half of his helmet off, causing it to fall to the floor. In a fit of rage he begins treating the gnoll like an inmate that's too friendly with kids in prison. Peyron says it's too much even if they are monsters. Tillich tells him to shut up before he does it to him next. Peyron says my fault. Oh gee, he's clearly annoyed, saying they will need to pay a hefty price for this. Baxter says that the ones in hiding must be terrified, but they cannot let their guards down during a hunt. One of the horses start tweaking. Peyron points into the woods asking if they see that. When they turn, what they see is a giant monster staring at them. Tillich asks if that's really a troll. It begins to roar. Baxter asks if the troll was maybe after the gnolls. It picks up a giant boulder, putting it overhead. It throws it forward towards one of the mercs. Baxter yells to scatter. I can't tell if it crushed someone or not. Baxter yells, saying the order to group from earlier is now taken back, and to spread out ASAP. Peyron pisses his pants, saying 10 mercs isn't enough for this. Baxter looks worried, and he's still trying to piece it together, wondering if the troll was after the gnolls, or teaming with them. It starts scouting for something else to throw. Baxter says it might be trained, perhaps a war weapon that went rogue. If that's the case, how many more might be here? The troll continues trying to find something to throw. Baxter says that this trap is definitely nothing ordinary, with the gnolls having armor. Now this. He debates if it's possible to escape, telling his men to gather the merchants and protect them. Then he orders Tillich the next time a troll throws something to aggro it away from their paychecks. Tillich asks if he's crazy, saying he doesn't want to sacrifice himself just for some merchants. Saying he must have a plan. Baxter says he does. It's something he knows well. They aim for the troll when it's distracted, then dive between its legs, as it's something they've done together a lot on the battlefield. Baxter charges in. Tillich says he'd rather die than do it again though. But Baxter has no intentions. As he is running in, the troll looks up at something else. Baxter wonders what it could possibly be, as we see something leap out of the forest into the air. It comes in with a flying knee, hitting the troll directly, toppling it over onto the ground. Baxter wonders what is going on. The troll begins twitching on the floor. Tillich asks him what just knocked it over. Then Baxter catches the silhouette of the attacker, as it turns back towards him with glowing eyes. Its hand soaked in blood now from finishing off the troll in a single hit, as strange aura emanates from it. It walks towards Baxter, who makes eye contact with it. With the troll's corpse behind it now, it then grabs a gnoll up with a single hand and rips something off of it. Tillich asks what the hell is going on. Baxter says that since he's from the city he wouldn't know, since he'd have gone his entire life without encountering or hearing of one. It's still staring at the muzzle it ripped off. Baxter says that it's called the most vicious monster of all. If you are fated to meet one, then you will not return alive. It continues walking forward, and Baxter tells us that it is an ogre. A few moments later, the ogre looks down at them. Baxter is paralyzed with fear, saying while ogres are extremely few in number, they possess an agility and powerful strength that no other monsters can match. On top of that, they have cunning, hunting intelligence, and tenacity. To think he'd run into one, when he's only heard stories of them. Peyron in the back says he can't tell what's going on, but wonders why the mercs are frozen there. Baxter debates running, saying even if he tried he'd become its meal. The ogre obviously looks like it isn't a threat to them, and sighs since they see him as one. Baxter looks down, as the ogre raises his hand toward them. He says they must have had a hard time getting here. From now on he will guide them. Also, they do not need to be so afraid. Although he may look like a monster, that's just his appearance. The same blood as them flows through him. He introduces himself to them as Leon, a half-blood of human and an ogre. Later, they head more southwest. In the Arnia kingdom bordering Hellprane, we see a village called Perone, in a remote forest. The guard on duty spots Leon, carrying a horse that's kicking its feet. Asking who it is, Peyron and the rest come from behind, complaining how they almost died. Tillich calls them bastard. Baxter is still lost in thought. Then looks up at the giant wall, asking if this is a monster barrier. The guard recognizes Leon, asking how many days it's been, also who are these people that came with him. He says it's been a while, and we learn the guard's name is Daryl. He says that he met a merchant group that came to trade while he was gathering wood. Apparently it's arranged with the chief already. Daryl says he trusts him, but received no reports. Wondering what he'll do if they are bandits posing as merchants. Peyron barks at him, saying they just got lost. They strayed from the route their village chief gave them. Tillich says they are definitely first-timers. Daryl says regardless of the circumstance, if they cannot prove who they are, they must leave. For security reasons. Perun says to just go ask the damn chief. Leon then thinks about it, saying if it's for security he may need these people. He heard the forest's urgent voices. The path was different, so someone tampered with it. They will need their help. Daryl asks if that's what the forest told him. Leon says if anything happens he can just beat them anyways. They look at him scared, but head into the village. Where they are able to find lodging, we see them gathered at the Perun village hall. Leon is talking to an old man, while Tillich looks pissed. The elder laughs at Leon, saying he'd beat them if they tried anything. Perun tells him to stop talking, as he'd have pissed his pants too. But says they are definitely going to die, but Leon saved their lives. Baxter speaks up, saying that he noticed the barriers surrounding the village. He says of course in such a remote place monsters and orcs appear frequently, but it seemed rather excessive. He hopes his guess is wrong, but perhaps they are preparing for war. The elder is silent, while Tillich turns around wondering if he heard it right. Leon wonders what war means. Perun says he is annoying. Baxter, though, is dead serious, staring at the elder. He says that war sure is terrible. Looking at them, they must be war mercs affiliated with Kincaid. And how war in his time was an escape from orcs who ruled humans, treating them like livestock. It was also a noble revolution achieved through humanity's unity. But nowadays war is just mutual destruction after spilling blood for each other's interests. Leon says this thing called war feels disgusting. The elder says he hopes such a tragedy doesn't strike their village. And to understand, the walls were built from everyone's wishes. Tillich slams his cup, saying bullshit. They all look at him. He says this is unacceptable, and that they've prettily packaged a war weapon. The barrier might just be exactly like it looks, but they have a damned monster in their midst, and it cannot be explained in words solely because they speak the same language. He's never seen anything like it, crushing a troll with its bare hands. If this is common in their village, it is no ordinary danger anymore. The tension starts to grow. He says war is a sensitive topic for them, so they need proof the kid isn't weapon, and evidence that such a half-blood is a one-off occurrence. The mercs look ready to fight, and Perun says that's a bit harsh. Even Baxter agrees that it is too harsh of words for someone who saved them. Leon just looks like he's tired of being labeled a monster. But nods his head, saying he doesn't know why he's so butthurt, but he can understand why he finds it difficult to accept him. And he knows if he doesn't prove himself not dangerous, the moment they leave he will go spreading rumors of their village, saying it's dangerous. But fortunately convincing him is easy, asking if he will meet his mother with him. They head outside of the village, until we see a small house with a cross out front. Inside, a woman is turning pages, and she has some food ready too. Tillich asks what that stench is around here. Leon says that it's his piss. So the monsters don't get attracted. We see the woman hearing the footsteps turn, as the door opens. Leon leans in, telling his mother he is home. He says he is late, as there was some business in the village. Tillich looks around, until he spots her and is surprised. As we see his mother welcoming him back home, we get a flashback to 15 years ago in the village. The elder climbs up the tower asking if it's true, wondering what the situation is. They say they don't know what's going on either, but he can look himself. He peers over the edge, seeing an ogre staring up at them. He makes eye contact directly with it, wondering what it is doing here. They all are on edge due to the ogre. The elder tells them to put their weapons away and fall back. They cannot provoke it, as he's seen its teeth in an anti-monster manual. The legend of Truvenia, Forest Wolf, the Central Continent's massacrer, Lobo. He wonders why he is here of all places. He says they need to get the siege weapons now, as Lobo can jump the walls. They tell him that isn't the strange part right now. They've been watching and something is wrong with its behavior, as it has not moved an inch for hours. The elder is confused why he's just now hearing about it then. They ask him if the manual mentioned anything other than hunting. If not, they start to wonder what exactly it could want. The elder has an idea. He looks down at Lobo's eyes once more. As Lobo looks down at the princess, he thinks about it for a second then turns away. They are all surprised, as he just leaps away, soaring through the sky, leaving her there. The elder watches him, then looks back down at her and understands. As he spots her twitching, meaning she is alive. Back to the cabin with the princess, Leon says she made his favorite meal. She tells him to eat slowly, while Tillich and Baxter are confused. She says she's sorry she hasn't prepared much for her guests. If her son gave her a notice in advance, she'd have prepared. Leon says it was an impromptu decision. She says regardless, coming all the way here must have been quite a hardship. She then asks the purpose of their visit. They are still taken aback, then start discussing her accent. Since it is something only found in nobility, she keeps making food. Tillich starts to call the villagers disgusting. She says that she roughly understands their thoughts. She knows her and her son aren't common here. More than anything, whatever explanation they hear could make the issue worse. She has already apologized for her son's rash actions. She wants to know what more she needs to do in order to satisfy them. They stand there for a second. Baxter says that it sounds like blackmail. She says that she heard he was a member of a merchant guild, so she thought this was the best way to communicate. But Tillich says this isn't something to negotiate. This noblewoman won't tell them the truth. Baxter tells him to calm down, and tells Leon's mother that he saved their lives. On the contrary, they are grateful and won't mention anything more on this matter. Tillich says that's enough. He needs to know what she is doing here. And what purpose drove her to bear a half-breed. She tells him his words are excessive. He barks at her, saying to consider her situation. She is pitifully suffering in this rural area, and doesn't even have the energy to face the mess outside. Even now there is a battlefield somewhere, with countless comrades being cut down. The boundless ambition for victory extended even to the demon race. He will never forget the first time he saw a half-blood, but also for him to see one in a place like this makes his blood boil. Baxter yells at him, but Tillich tells her to reveal it clearly, asking if the village is harboring a breeding ground for half-bloods to fight in the war, and why a woman of nobility would seed such a monster. She tells him that it's difficult for her to speak of herself. Leon yells out for her, but Tillich starts swelling up with rage, saying to answer him. If her circumstance wasn't by force, then perhaps her preference is interracial. Leon turns toward him. His mother yells for him to stop, as we see an attack fly straight toward Tillich, creating a massive explosion, sending something flying away. Leon stands there panting, looking at his hand, while his mother looks up worried. Leon looks scared by his own actions. He glances outside, as he sees Tillich spitting up blood with Baxter guarding him. Baxter glares at him. Leon looks back to his mother, who is on the floor. She tells him just to calm down. He starts to shake with panic. Baxter starts walking up, asking why she is calling him Leon. He looks over in fear, seeing his blade, and his mother on the floor. He begs him that he doesn't hurt his mother. He says that he's getting it wrong. The blade isn't aimed at his mother. As he slices towards Leon, we see some blood flying. Baxter says his blade is to cut the one who doesn't resemble a human down. His mother yells for him. Baxter tells her not to worry. He avoided his vitals, he just wanted to calm him down. He looks back at Leon, who is barely even injured. He realizes he might have made a mistake. As his cut wasn't deep enough, he wonders if it's because of the ogre blood. Leon runs at him, as he's going in for an attack. Baxter says that is where his mother is though, but Leon grabs his collar. Throwing him away, he flies out of the house, still holding his sword up. As Leon jumps into the air, and stomps where Baxter was laying. He glares up at him, with his eyes red. Baxter stares back, saying he's smart. Even while blacked out, he chose an open space for his huge body. They charge in toward one another. Baxter slices all over, dashing past him. Then turns, thrusting towards Leon's back, saying he must have also not wanted to hurt his mother. As the attack gets close, Leon spots it, then dodges it, appearing right behind Baxter, who says that was his move though. Leon stretches his hand towards him. We see another giant smoke cloud get kicked up. Tillich begins to regain consciousness, saying he cannot let Baxter do this alone. A chain is thrown beside him as Leon's mother looks down at him. She looks pissed, as if telling him to stop the mess he started. Back to the fight. It seems to be over as Leon is looking at his hands. Baxter says he has seen enough. He copied his movements just by eye even while blacked out, then went for the perfect counter. Also that he would be dead without this amulet, as he holds it up, saying it's amazing that it can control a rampaging ogre. We see she gave it to him when he burst into the house. Leon doesn't know what to say to him. Baxter says as someone from Kincaid he couldn't ignore the danger of a half-blood being used as a weapon. He was extra on edge as he was a case he'd never seen before. He's truly sorry for jumping the gun. He is just a sharp, well-controlled kid living in a human society. For the safety of he and his mother they should keep this to themselves. His mother yells his name out. He turns and starts to get teary-eyed. As she holds her arms open, saying they should go and rest, he walks over, giving her a big hug. He begins to cry, while she touches his cheek. Back at the broken house, Tillich lays there in pain and screams, "Damn it." The next day, his mother is cooking something up. She ladles it into a bowl, then sets it down on the table. We see she's made 3 portions. She looks up towards the window, and she hopes it's going well. As out in the forest we see that Leon is out there, with his axe leading the way, as the merchants are behind him asking why the return trip is so much harder. Baxter says Reedon isn't meant to be that far. He tells Leon they are going too far away to avoid monsters. Leon says it is roundabout, but not only to avoid the danger. He crouches down, putting his palm on the ground, listening to it. He says the forests are the ones guiding him. Once they pass this forest it will be safe all the way back. Perun still says he is being too cautious. They are near the Helfrane border now, on their descending route. One of the men asks another if he isn't having a hard time carrying the idiot who picked a fight with an ogre. Tillich just looks embarrassed, but says he will ensure the dude is paid for carrying him. After a bit more, Leon continues carving their path out. Baxter calls out to him. Leon turns and Baxter asks how long left. Leon says he's sorry the road is so rough, but it isn't his first time, but he's also not used to it either. He can smell the city though. Perun instantly feels relieved, and Baxter asks if he's okay. Saying that he stayed up for days fixing the house, Leon says it's nothing, he just kept thinking about the stories he told him. Baxter says he's surprised he's never been told stories before. Leon says that people in the village tend to avoid telling their personal stories, just like his mother. Perun says that he bets they didn't want a naive kid like himself getting tricked in the outside world. He gets their concerns, as he needs hardships to become a proper adult. Leon says he liked Perun's stories too, especially how his big break came from bargaining and clearing stock. He wonders if he could do it too. Baxter says if he keeps talking like that he'll get in trouble. Perun says he shouldn't have said anything. Baxter says from the sound of it, he makes it seem like he's never been outside of Perun, asking if he cannot leave. Leon says not exactly, it's his choice not to go. Though sometimes, he wonders if the village walls are for his sake too. It's not just that they look out for him, but outside of the village there's nowhere else that would accept him so openly. Baxter thinks about it, and Leon continues saying that also his mother lives alone there. She also lost the ability to walk, giving birth to him. She never showed it, but he heard from the others that she was a noble. He doesn't know how she ended up here, but she gave it all up for him, so he cannot just go off on his own. Perun says that shit is tough. Leon continues, saying he must have been a handful. Apparently as a baby he only wanted to eat raw meat. Baxter says he wants to know about the first time they met, if someone told him in advance to watch their group and aid them. Perun wonders why he asked this. Leon, a bit panicked, says it was just by chance. Baxter says he's an awful liar. Perun says he's grateful he saved them, but if he was assigned to do it, they should know. Baxter says he needs to know. Leon says it's nothing like war or anything scary. It's just that around their village, there is an orc bandit group. They move in packs, but their numbers aren't that high, but they are big enough to threaten merchants. It was a danger to the village. But more than that, trade, which was their livelihood, was cut off, and caused major issues. Baxter says that makes sense now, also why he left his piss around the village's perimeter. Leon says exactly, but one day the bandits' presence just vanished. Sure, the village's active defenses and patrols helped, but more than anything, he thinks it was his presence as the forest ogre that made a difference. Baxter asks if he was protecting them just for the village's reputation. Leon says not exactly. Lately the orcs have been acting weird, taming gnolls and trolls. They even changed the forest layout. The forest's voice has been panicking non-stop. He looks up at the sky, then tells them he is sure it will be fine, as it's not the first time it has happened. Worst case, he will deal with them. They then spot the city, and Leon tells them to just follow the road, and they did a great job enduring all of that. Baxter thanks him, saying it was a meaningful meeting. Perun agrees, saying especially as he owes him his life. He truly hopes his wish to travel comes true. Leon says he's sure one day it will come. Perun says absolutely. He saw a troupe with various non-humans, though none was an ogre. It is called the Noonies Circus. He could travel and make money. Baxter says he's heard Noonies is really rational for a showman. He didn't expect Perun to know them. Perun asks who he thinks he is. Leon then raises his hand, waving them all off, and looks back into the forest worried, hoping his village is alright. He crouches down, before leaping off. We get a flashback to 8 years ago, when Leon was a kid. A man asks how old he was this year. Leon looks up, and shows him he is 5. The man says he's too big for a 5-year-old, and he should eat less. We see his mother butchering pigs, and the man says that Leonia has started ranching. He pats Leon's head, saying that it reminded him of his own childhood when he saw him. He was stripped of his family home, and everything by a lord and his knights, then fled into this forest. After some time, he looked around panicked. At the time he was only 10 years old, Leon fell asleep to his story. The man says that in his case as well, the only place that accepted him and his mother was this village. Because everyone here shares a similar pain. Later Leon saw smoke beyond the walls. There were no signs of monsters. He worries about his mother going straight there. But it seems fine here for now. He is relieved. Then looks at the forest ablaze, wondering what's going on. As he continues investigating, he says it isn't the smell of a normal fire. He wonders if someone set it up on purpose, saying the smell to his village is covered up. He wonders who is behind it, and why they would do it. Saying he needs to go back to the village. He hears a man's voice, and turns around quickly. Looking into the fire, there is a man missing a leg holding a letter. It was the man from before. He calls out to Leon, saying to look at the state of him. Leon gets closer, and the man says right now, but Leon cuts him off saying they need to go quickly for treatment. The man says he's glad he wasn't too late, and when he returns to the village, to remember that no matter where he is that he must hold on to his reason. His hand then goes limp, and Leon crouches down, then slowly stands up staring at the sky lost in emotions. He recalls his memories with the man and begins to cry. Back to the village, they are ready for war, as we see monsters carrying siege ladders approaching. They mount them up, and a man yells saying they are climbing the ramparts, and everyone needs to get ready. The man says that he can't believe a bunch of orc bandits became militarized so quickly, someone must have helped them. One of the men yell, telling Ken to take a look. When he does, he sees the commander riding atop a beast, looks like Warwick low-key. Ken is surprised, as the commander looks up at them, releasing some crazy pressure. He holds something up, and they say from the size alone that is too big for an orc. Ken says that is an Uruk of the wastelands, something you'd only expect to see on the true Venian battlefield. He tells them it isn't a simple orc raid. As they throw something up, it pierces a man's shoulder, and pins him to the wall. He screams in pain, as there is a head attached to it. There is a letter. This is some cursed Blue's Clues. Ken looks back over panicked, drowning out the screams of his men as he can't believe the Uruk threw that with such precision from so far away. The Uruk demands that they bring out their infant ogre now. They start going up the siege ladders. Ken yells, telling his men to prepare for a volley. As they approach, he orders them to fire. They do so, pelting the army with all of their arrows. One of the men by the commander says that he watched them for a while, but never thought they could shoot this well. Ken holds up a crossbow, shooting the dude's head off mid-sentence. The commander looks down at his boy who just got slimed. As Ken doesn't even react to his shot. The commander looks angry now, then turns around and raises his hand. The men start to read the letter. He wonders what it is. Then sees that it isn't in Orcish. Ken tells them to prepare another volley. But the men tell him to wait, as it's their men who went on a patrol earlier. They spot Daryl chained up. Ken tells his men that those bastards are using hostages, and human shields. He grows increasingly worried, not knowing what to do. But also fearing for the life of Daryl, who we learn is actually his son. The men says they are pushing towards the barricade entrance now, so he needs to make a decision before it's too late. The men start to charge forward, to the wall, saying they have to use their bodies to block it. If they break through, they'll all be slaughtered. One of them are terrified in the corner, and they bark at him saying they need this shit done now. But he says it's insane, asking if they cannot feel it. They've fought countless monsters, but nothing like this before. Also, they are clearly after something this time too. They prepare the battering ram, slamming straight into the wall. The men begin pushing back but start struggling. The monsters see the crack, and start praising their commander, saying that one forged on the battlefield is a different breed from them. As promised, they'll help him on his hunt. They continue their siege. The villagers who were kidnapped feel helpless and like dead weight, while the others are pressuring Ken to make a decision already. He's still completely lost for words. Daryl calls out to him. The men inform Ken they've made their choice, but there's no other way to save them. It's tragic. But they have no choice. Ken says they have to fire, but he can't be the one to give the order. The man apologizes to him, telling the rest to prepare to fire. The commander looks up, then smiles as Leon is flying straight in. He raises his axe, high into the air. The commander spots him now, as Leon swings downward on the army. The commander says it's about time he showed himself. We see a giant shockwave from his landing, as he instantly deletes their front line. The soldiers are surprised, as they see that Leon has turned these dudes into a red mist. Ken can't believe what he is witnessing. The commander seems happy. Then the other orc says, "Shit, maybe it's the commander's name, we'll go with that for now." But says the bait plan worked perfectly. asking what he'll do now. Chit smiles as he looks down at Daryl. He then swings his axe, cutting him wide open. Blood begins to paint the battlefield. His eyes grow teary as he calls out for Leon, who looks horrified. Chit starts to chuckle, before erupting into full-blown laughter, as he and Leon have WWE stare down. Chit smiles at him. Leon, while palming one of the orcs, yeets the piss out of it, throwing it past Chit. Then gets behind him. Chit turns around, dodging Leon's attack as it sends what I assume is the beast's head flying away. Chit says that's the Night Order's movement technique, which makes him surprised that he can even pull off those petty tricks. He swings back, cutting across Leon's chest. Leon starts to spit up blood, before Chit kicks him away. Leon catches himself. Chit starts walking towards him. Leon, still injured from the previous attack, clenches onto his wound. Chit says that he didn't expect him to live that, as he was meant to be sliced in two. Leon glares at him. Chit asks how it feels to finally be able to feel pain, or if he's more amazed at his own monstrous healing power. He asks him what he thinks an ogre is now. They charge at one another, both of them attack, generating massive sparks. Chit laughs because he breaks Leon's axe. But Leon doesn't care. He swings forward, which he blocks, though the force sends him flying away. Chit says it's just as he thought, as he stares at his broken axe. And Leon, panting, Chit says he cannot even fathom his strength, talent, or agility. An attack comes flying in, of a vine-line weapon. It wraps around Leon's arm. He stares at it, wondering what they are plotting. More begin to fly out, flying straight to him, wrapping around his whole body now. Leon begins to roar. Chit asks what he thinks, as it's an orc trap capable of subduing even a troll, though he doesn't expect it to be enough for him. Leon, still panting, Chit mocks him, asking if he is suffering, then tells him that this is only the start. He raises his fingers, as the pals walk forward with their eyes full of despair. They can tell that something is wrong with Leon. Chit says that he is different from a normal ogre, and he's been reduced to livestock by these pathetic creatures. He begins to slowly kill one of the prisoners, stabbing him over and over. Leon, forced to watch the brutality, starts to struggle to break free. Chit laughs, as the prisoners call out for Leon to save them. Chit says for him to see them struggling so pathetically before dying, it must be quite painful. Even with an appearance so close to a wild beast. It's something he could never cast away, as his inherent nature is weak, due to being mixed with lowly humans. Another prisoner is forced to the front. Chit's laughter continues. Finally, Leon realizes he cannot watch another murder. He begins struggling with all of his might, pulls the restraints free, leaping straight towards Chit. Chit says he'll rip that core out of his nature, leaving nothing but the shell of a beast. Leon rears back his hand, slicing upwards, taking off Chit's arm, as it soars in the air. He grits his teeth. Leon grabs the spear out of the air, leaving the prisoners surprised. As he's successfully disarmed Chit, Leon recalls the old man's words from before, saying that he cannot lose his sanity no matter what. Chit says this is surprising. By nature an ogre, once they smell the scent of human blood, it is meant to become ferocious and violent. Leon asks who he is to be doing this. Chit laughs, saying maybe he can feel it, the trembling that starts from his very feet, the smell of orc and human blood. Leon realizes now. Chit says he finally gets it. He's just like him. A half-blood mongrel. For some reason this reveal pauses the battlefield. Chit says he cannot believe in such a remote area. Instead of a battlefield, they've been raising the most vicious of monsters. Leon is still just panting. Chit continues staring at him, then asks if he's ever wondered why nobody has come for his head until now. He says he'll explain. From the wastelands, the Uruk was once home to a battleground of a great war between races, the barren lands of Truvenia. In that region they were war mercs who made a name for themselves, a crossbreed of humans and orcs. They inherited the strengths of both, excelling in command and guerrilla warfare, but they could only be produced through a lost mystical method. Thus their numbers are very few. When the war ended they were left penniless. They made a living by taking on all sorts of dangerous hunts. As we see them preparing to fight something, Chit takes an attack straight to the face, as Lobo instantly dashes past him. Chit can't even process what happened in that short time frame. He turned back, seeing Lobo, staring at him. Maybe it's just another ogre and I am racist, but it's holding on to one of his comrades. Ready to fight them all. Chit and his men, though, weren't backing down. They unleashed a full-blown assault on it. But when it was all said and done, there was only one person left. It was a single individual. Uruk, which was once an entire race, was now reduced to the name of a single being. Alright, Chit is now Uruk. We see him on his mount, traveling the lands for the next several years. He just watched a remote village in the forest. To carry his people onwards, he waited for the moment he could kill his enemy's offspring. The orcs finally resumed their war, charging straight in at Leon, stabbing him all over. Leon swings, cleaving them to chunks. He then raises his spear, as the orcs yell for the others to deploy the troll subjugation formation and null encirclement at the same time. Leon screams, as he won't let things go their way. He continues destroying them while Uruk watches. One of his men asks how they are being held back by a single ogre, saying at this rate they'll just be sacrificing themselves. The tower guards are still just watching, and Ken says this shit is nuts. One of the men tell him they've stopped their advance, and are jumping Leon. And at this rate he'll be overwhelmed since he is alone. But Ken watches as he's turned into a meat grinder. The whip-like weapon flies out once more, wrapping around Leon's leg. He falls to his knees and looks up. As Uruk leaps in to finish the battle, he swings. Leon dodges, getting sliced on the face. He turns back to look at him, then their weapons clash with one another's, sending a shockwave flying out. Uruk swings back, cutting him open once more. Leon returns with a big attack, as Uruk loses yet another arm, but he uses it to his advantage, pouring it on Leon's face. He then groans in frustration, realizing that he cannot even make use of his opening. He screams. Leon swings forward once more, taking his walking privileges. Sending Uruk flying through the air, he lands on the ground. Leon though keeps his guard up. Uruk says that giving his limbs up like this was worth it. Leon pants. Uruk says that now it is almost time. Since the blood is getting to Leon's head, his eyes glow red. Uruk says he needs to release the one that's been suppressed for so long. The orcs begin retreating from the battlefield, leaving Leon standing there over Uruk. Leon lets out a primal scream, as the villagers look fearful. Uruk says this was his plan, to force him into being all alone. Just like he was. As Leon passes out. A bit later, the prisoners start helping one another up. As the fire continues near the barricade, Ken looks over, to see the villagers trying to make sure that Leon is alright. Uruk did all that shit for what? Ken asks if he's alive still. They ask if he didn't watch. He took countless blows one after the other, yet in the short time it took for them to run over, he's already almost fully healed. They wonder if he's really even an ogre at this point. Ken stares down at him, as they continue saying they don't know if he can get up soon, due to the neurotoxins they had on their weapons. They wonder if they should wake him up since they have so many questions. Uruk laughs, asking why bother. As he will answer it all, they are just surprised he is still alive. Uruk says not to worry, he can feel death is near. There's no easier interrogation than this right here. They tell Ken to not fall for it, but Ken says seeing how the letter he sent wasn't in Orcish, she must have intended for it to be seen by someone who couldn't read it, and it must have been for Leon. But he's confused, because Leon hasn't ever left the forest, so he cannot be the one behind his grudge. So what connection is there? Why did he have to be his target? Uruk laughs, saying he can already see how they'll treat him from now on. His revenge came early, so he'll answer without regrets. First, the fact they all thought they succeeded in hiding and protecting him was a huge misunderstanding. While they were hiding behind their village walls, the slaughterer of the central continent began to run rampant once more. And a clue was revealed that a blue dragon was behind it all. They asks why a dragon is coming out now. Uruk says he's sure they are familiar with the natures of ogres. Normally a full-grown one would resist to the bitter end even if it meant death. Yet a monster of a completely different class chose to submit. This is where his obsession started, since every single bit of this started with a human woman of all people. Ken and the rest are surprised, asking how he knew. He says that he caught a scent, the same scent as the blood of the slaughterer seared into his memory. By all means, nobody was meant to target the half-blood. So he gathered the orcs and tormented the forest, even creating a perfect maze so that no outsider would dare trespass. The one they all firmly believed in. It would have been useless if this hadn't been his forest from the start. It's laughable in the end they discovered nothing. Instead they just hid the half-blood until he grew into a monster. Perhaps revenge for his people never even mattered from the start, as he enjoyed the fight. Maybe he just wanted to chase it once more. Ken asks why he did this then. Uruk says he just wanted to make him another outcast. When Leon slowly opens his eyes he hears Ken saying they all saw it with their own eyes. He then jolts awake, looking around. Ken says even if Leonia taught him well, true nature is one that cannot be controlled. He may communicate and seem good-natured now, but if he ends up turning into a monster, how can they try to control that? Leon looks worried. Someone else says that even Uruk and his army couldn't do anything to Leon. Of course they survived due to him. But one wrong turn and their village will be wiped out. So protecting this child is the same as them saying to live with their lives on the line. The elder says he has heard enough. Ken says he cannot. After failing Daryl, he won't let the next mistake slip by his hands. So if the elder doesn't want to handle him, they will do it themselves. If what Uruk said was true, countless dragon hunters will come soon looking for him. The elder says that he's not saying he is wrong, and Daryl was very unfortunate. But Leon is only 13, this isn't his fault. This makes a lot more sense as to why he is so childlike. Above all, as a village elder, surely they know what to prioritize. Ken says they need to take action now, but the elder tells him to be quiet. Of course he is listening already, saying it's his fault. He went on a rampage, and now they are fighting about him. He wonders why he even did it in the first place, saying maybe this is what his father is like. He groans, and the elder turns quickly, running over. Leon says he hates this, to think he is such a monster. Outside of the clinic, the elder tells Leon he'll be better soon. Also, they told Leonia a bit late, but it had to be late due to the circumstances. Leon says she'll understand. The elder says no matter what anyone says, he saved them all. So he is grateful and proud of him. He tells him when he gets back to brew the antidote herbs he gave him, and drink it once with every meal. Leon thanks him, saying he has to be going now as his mother is waiting. And he hopes the others are alright. The elder says he hopes he understands. And tells him he should go, Back at the village, we see Leon's mother waiting to know what happened. She looks anxious, as she listens to the sound of the forest. Leon stumbles his way through the woods, spotting her. Seeing how close she is to the fence, he tells her it's dangerous out here. Especially on a night like this, she tells him to stop and calm down. As she's fine, and nothing happened here, but that's not the problem right now. He asks what's wrong, so she tells him that she heard he jumped straight into the middle of the battle himself. She says even though she asked him not to, and then brings up how Nilsson died at the outer fence, and that's what that old man's name was. Leon starts to recall his past memories with Nilsson, and how Nilsson says that if he had a child he wanted to be just like him. Realizing that he was wrong, he starts to apologize to his mother for making her worry, and he says that seeing him die like that was something that he just couldn't bear, and she knows what Nilsson was like to him, and back then even in that situation he warned him to never lose his cool. He thinks maybe he was afraid of what he would have to face out there, or if he discovered the truth about who it is that his father truly is, and he wants his mother to tell him if that ferocious side of him is from his father, but she tells him to stop, and she's sorry, as she begins shaking, and she says that she can't talk about it. He quickly runs over, grabbing onto her. She apologizes for not being able to speak about it. It takes us to the Swarn Kingdom, the territory of Baron Vils. He asked what they're talking about with the dragon hunt being breached, and says this is obviously a waste of effort, asking if they've forgotten why it was blocked in the first place, and all this talk about tradition and long-cherished wishes are all just talks in the end, and they don't understand the concept of practicality. No matter how much they struggle, they can't even compare to Hellprane's might, and wasting their efforts on nothing is why he simply cannot understand the practicality of searching for a blue dragon. He admits he can't ignore the sacred mobilization order, and if he did he would have been in trouble, but, thanks to his very capable knight Herman, it all turned out okay. Herman tells him not to worry as he's made sure the homeland has no room for complaints, having faithfully carried out all of his duties until now, and if they demand more than that he supposes he's bought enough time. He tells Vils that just as he predicted there were an unusual number of bizarre things in this dragon hunt, and Tillich is also in this kingdom at the moment, and Herman continues saying that he was impressed by his lordship's keen eye, and the investigation revealed the birth of a half-ogre half-human. Vils says that it was definitely worth spending the money on it, and that this surely won't be disappointing. Herman says of course not, and Vils shoos him away, telling the attendant to open the door. Herman says that he just needed to wait a moment, and the day his head joins his collection is not far off. Tillich, waiting in the city, is approached by Herman, and Tillich tells him to wait right there, asking if his team of knights think a mercenary is some kind of pushover, and he asks if he really thought that he wouldn't realize that he's brought more than just himself. There are 3 people tailing behind him, and they're either trackers or escorts, but this is different from what he promised him earlier, as he said this had to be done discreetly and quickly as possible. Herman laughs it off, saying that his rudeness crosses the line, and no matter if he's from Reden or not he should be aware of the situation, and if he didn't want his life cut short before he even starts the job he should have been careful. Tillich cuts him off, saying that since he's already here, if things go south he can probably just handle him with numbers, but since it is an ogre he doubts he'll have an easy time handling it in the forest. We see one of the men tailing him watching, mumbling the word practicality. Back to Leon, He's overlooking the town from the forest and he really wants to go explore since it's a sight that he's never seen as he's never left the forest, but he realizes that he shouldn't be just standing around and he needs to go hunt for food before it gets dark, especially since he can't head to the village anytime soon. In the forest we see a little pig running away, and we hear heavy footsteps right behind it, as Leon is chasing it. The pig sees him, and starts to speed up, going into an open area. It thinks it's in the clear, but Leon's already being overhead, and he says that he's never learned how to hunt before as his mother avoided him doing it as much as she could in order to raise him as a human. As he gets closer he says that it's understandable though, and perhaps it's because of the blood of his father that flows within him. He has no problem keeping up with the beast, and understanding exactly where it will go. The moment that he catches up to it, he strikes for its vital spot, and he might have inherited it from his father. Maybe his mother was afraid of the image of his father that could appear in him. It jumps back to Tillich, saying no matter how many times he thinks about it, it's just absurd. As they are back in the forest now, he says back then it felt almost like a dungeon. Armored gnolls would pop out in the dozens, and the trolls were also tamed. Herman asks if he means they were trained, and Tillich says of course, and laughs it off saying that there was a racial war in such a remote place. Herman seems surprised by it, and Tillich says that he's just messing with them, but it was something similar to that. Even in these backwoods there were villages connected to the merchant guild. Recently there was a big commotion with the surrounding orcs, and the instigator was none other than Uruk. Herman says that he recognizes the name, but he thought he was a commander-level figure during the racial war. It's strange that he'd come all the way over here, and Tillich laughs asking what exactly he thinks made him come all the way down here, and it's much more complicated than a simple hunt. Herman thinks about it, and Tillich tells him that there's still a lot that will surprise him. They're almost there, so they should hurry up though. As they continue through the forest, the knights trailing them are getting rid of all the orcs in their path. One of the orcs is grabbed by the throat, and questioned until he tells everything he knows. The orc says that ever since that bastard died after leading them out to fight, but the knight finishes the job. They say that Herman's judgment was correct. They thought it was just a simple hidden village, but it seems that the location Herman is being led to is closely related to their prey. They're all confused because they thought they'd meet up closely to the entrance before the hunt, but Tillich and Herman are still nowhere in sight, and they think Herman must have found something interesting there. They will continue to move only as instructed, and wait outside the walls. Nearby the village we see Leon's mother's house, and inside she's sitting at the table looking out the window. She looks over the fence waiting for Leon to return, and she recalls him asking about his father. Of course she's still not ready to talk about it, and she looks regretful about it. Then there's a knock on the door, and she wonders if maybe it's Leon. Since nobody enters she waits a second, until Tillich kicks the door down, asking if there's no one inside. The door falls on the floor, and he looks over spotting her, saying that he's committed a grave offense and he didn't realize she was here. She just looks annoyed that he visited again, and says that she doesn't know why he's here, since it's been a long time since she's had contact with the village, and her son has been living quietly as well, and there's nothing for him to gain here. He says that that's a shame, and to him it's a pleasant reunion. He insults her, saying she prefers the size of an ogre over her noble status, bro talking about ogre dong, and that she's worse than the village's harlots. She looks a bit annoyed, and Tillich stretches his arm out, formally introducing himself to her, and he says that he wants to have an audience with the princess of the Arcadian Empire, Penslut. She looks surprised that he knew, and Herman enters, looking over at her, and he says that he never expected to see her in such a humble place, and to waste her life here is excessively noble, and he wants her to return to her homeland with him. She continued staring at them, and she says that she can't believe they came to a remote place like this, and knowing the truth, too much time has passed. Furthermore, the Penslut she knew would have found her much sooner, and seeing as how she's been left alone until now, this matter is pointless. Herman says that of course, as she was publicly declared dead, they never gave up, meaning that she could have returned at any time. Perhaps she may think that her current situation is unacceptable, but she may put her worries to rest now, because she will be the one to wipe away that filthy blood that lingers around her. Still waiting outside of the village, we see the knights awaiting Herman's order. While they're sitting there, they say that the target is regularly here, and while it's a half-blood, their pattern isn't different from an ogre's. They suppose that it's an animal's instinct, and the herd could even communicate, but in the end an ogre is an ogre. They say that it's a relief for now, as they were worried that it might be too human, and they said it was still a young one, around 13 in human years. The other knight says in the first place he speaks as if he ever had a choice, and the target will arrive here again. They need to set up their ogre hunting formation, and produce some results before they meet with Sir Herman. Leon on his way back says that it's getting late, and that this pig smells like shit. It's fine with him, but his mother hates it, and she doesn't show it to his face. He's gonna ask Auntie Pen to put a lot of seasoning on this one. As he's going back, he says that lately his mother's face was looking more and more grim, and she won't even answer when he asks her anything, and that must have been because of him. He looks up at the moon, and he says that he hopes that she's feeling better now. But then he senses something, and an attack flies in. He raises his arm, using it and the pig to block most of the surprise attack. He wonders what's going on, and he looks up at the treetops where it came from, and he yeets the pig straight up towards it. There's some kind of scent or aura coming off of him, and he wonders where exactly it came from, and more importantly he says there wasn't any smell or presence right before this, and if that's the case, it's definitely a hunt. He looks around, wondering where and who it is, and then he senses it behind him, but it's too late as the attack's already right at his head. He swings to knock them away, and they vanish once more. He realizes that this is a bad spot for him to be in, and they leap, attacking him from behind. They stab their sword straight through his back, and they plunge it deep enough that it causes him to start bleeding heavily, and he drops to his knees. He wonders why they're doing this to him, and what he did to deserve this. All this time he's been living hidden away, quietly minding his own business, and this is the second time recently that somebody's come after him. The knight sighs before he raises his sword into the air, and Leon says that it's so unfair. The knight starts to release an aura as he swings down, going straight for Leon's head, but Leon says that he can't sit by anymore. Back to his mother, she looks anxious as Herman and Tillich are waiting for her reply. She realizes she can't keep them waiting. Tillich laughs to himself, and says that as expected of the nobles, they're just so predictable, and he guesses that this night he got sick of a life spent cleaning up after the Baron, and he's taking this opportunity to lash out at him, and her as well. He says that she got swayed by words like that, and he wonders if all nobles are like this, and he calls her pathetic. He recalls her looking down at him, and he says that it seems that there was just nothing about bravado, but he realizes that it's whatever, and they can try as hard as they want, as things won't go their way. She thinks the one who sheds blood will be them, it seems. Herman stares at her, wondering what that means, and he turns, looking at the doorway, hearing heavy footsteps, before Leon barges in towards the two of them, going straight for Herman's head, and he asks how. Herman, though, doesn't even flinch from the attack, and quickly reaches for his blade. Leon watches as he unsheathes it, and slices by his face. Leon narrowly dodges the attack, and Herman starts to laugh, saying that that was an interesting move, and asking where he learned such agility. We see a giant blue light exiting the house as there was some kind of explosion. Tillich says there's no way that's what he thinks it was, and that his audacity is beyond normal, and that he understands why now, because that knight was hiding his true self, and he can't believe that he would see a sword expert here. As Leon covered his mother from the attack, Herman seems surprised. Leon glares back towards him, and his mother calls out to him, saying that he needs to calm himself. They won't be able to harm her, so he just needs to hide immediately, getting as far as he can from here. Herman swings once more, with the blue aura slicing across Leon's back. Herman asks if he understands now, saying that the next time he attacks there will be no mercy. Before that, he'll hear any last excuses that he might spew from his lowly mouth. To outmaneuver his apprentices, he wants to understand how it happened, and how a mere beast is capable of defeating a knight even if they're only apprentices. Saying that it makes no sense, we get a flashback to a moment ago when Leon was on his knees, bleeding out. The knight says that even if it's a beast, he's never enjoyed cleaving the young ones in half, but that is just how it is. He adds that struggling is meaningless, as he can't change how he was born. The sole reason for a prey's existence is for them to be hunted. As we see Leon's eyes start to change, the attack hits the floor instead, and the knight looks surprised as Leon gets behind him in an instant using the same move that the knight did. He raises his hand, and swings down, which the knight narrowly blocks, and the strike is still so powerful it shatters his blade, sending him flying backwards. He hits the floor, spitting up blood, and the other knights look a bit panicked. The one who just got rocked says that he predicted his moves accurately, and even replicated it only after seeing it once. More importantly, it doesn't make sense, as he should be unconscious, rampaging like an ogre would. The knight wonders if the medicine didn't work properly, and says that they have to hurry before he fully recovers. They quickly leap in, swinging at him. Of course, Leon once more uses the move to vanish away from them, and the knights look caught off guard. Leon says that he thought this was a hunt, and that they used needles. During their surprise attack, he could tell that there was poison coated on the weapons, and they wanted to turn him into a beast for hunting. They have no idea where he is, as he is speaking through the forest, and it starts to freak them out. Leon thinks about it, asking what he's done to harm them. He says if being born like this is a sin, he shouldn't just accept it and die willingly. If that was the case, maybe all of the beasts they've faced until now died willingly, and if not, it means that they are clearly in the wrong. As he starts to leap at them from the woods, the knight wonders if maybe he's using their own poison against them by heating up his body to produce steam, and releasing it into the air. He realizes that at this rate they are the ones being hunted instead. They manage to dodge another attack, but they start to look worn out, and not a single one of them has touched a single hair on his body. The other knight says, more importantly, the smoke that erased the scent has now cleared, and if this continues he's surely going to head towards Herman. The knight says that they can let anything but that happen, and if a monster like that is sent to Herman there's no telling what he'll learn. Leon asks if he's a beast or a human, and says that he doesn't even know if that matters in the first place. Herman continues glaring at him, and Leon asks what form he would have to take to be able to live. His mother looks worried, and Herman says that it doesn't matter, as he'll just ask his apprentices himself. He was merely curious about a beast perspective for a moment, and that's about it. Now he should make sure to die cleanly in front of his mother. He swings once more as an aura arc starts to fly out towards Leon. Herman says that he should just give up and accept it, and Leon says that he refuses, and he won't let them have their way. If you've watched till the end, comment triple to let me know. Subscribe for more videos like this, leave a like or a comment to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.